just going back to the first days of finding the solution to understanding that it isn't ambulances that save lives, it's people.
United Hatzalah is built, the DNA of the organization is disruptive innovation.
So we come to combine these two worlds and create a vehicle, such a small vehicle, as narrow as a footprint of a legal motorcycle.
We added also, because we are special, because we have doctors, so I added a whole kit that it's called a surgery kit, surgery field kit. So if next time you have to do surgery in the field, we have all kits ready for us in the MCRs to give the doctors, because we have the physicians to do those procedures. So everything is there ready made for them to have.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dovie Maisel, CEO of United Hatzalah Innovation and one of the co-founders of United Hatzalah, Israel's largest volunteer organization.
And I'm Elad Bachar, the head of the medical division.
And welcome back to another episode of Masters of Emergency. We are in our very special series of innovation. Very exciting. Looking back at so many episodes of disasters and so much tough stuff. This is the fun. This is the fun. And the last episode that we wrapped up, I said, you got to wait for the next one because this one's going to be a lot of fun. I grew up on Optimus Prime and the Transformers, and that leads me to welcome our very special guest, Udi Meridor, who is the co-founder and COO of City Transformer, which is the actual real-life version of Transformers. Welcome, Udi.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You'll tell us all about our futuristic Transformers and how they will be transforming life-saving. And we have with us as well our own homegrown Nissan Hefetz, who is, besides being a paramedic and a lifesaver for, 25 years? Yeah, we go back a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is the brains of they say that invention... necessity is the mother of all invention. And when we find a problem, we go to Nissan to find the solution. So Nissan, welcome to the show.
Hi, and thank you for having me here.
And we'll be hearing a lot about your crazy solutions and ideas as we go through the show. So a little bit, we'll just talk just for a minute before we actually get into the deep dive of hearing about City Transformer and our solutions. I think that when we're talking in this episode about vehicles, everybody knows the ambulance, everybody knows the typical emergency response vehicles. And in United Hatzalah, over the years, I think the word innovation is really what defines what United Hatzalah is. It's just going back to the first days of finding the solution to understanding that it isn't ambulances that save lives, it's people. An ambulance will take 10, 15 minutes anywhere in Israel, anywhere in the world to arrive on an emergency. And back in the day, understanding that harnessing power of community, get enough people trained in the community, we'll be able to get there much faster because it's that neighbor right next door that can come in, give the EpiPen, do the Heimlich maneuver, connect the defibrillator, and save those people's lives. And then when the ambulance shows up 10 or 15 minutes later, there's still actually what to save. I think innovation is really what defines United Hatzalah. And throughout the years and in the previous episodes that we were talking about, we see how many tools are brought to the table in servicing this mission. I mean, Elad, you remember when we were back in the day, we'd have the ambulance and remember we were talking about the note, that we get the note. So it would take 3 minutes until we get the note and go out on the call. And then you got to drive through traffic until you get to the call, until we get to the patient. And then there's nothing to save anymore. And today we see how much technology, how much innovation goes into this. And even thinking at where we in United Hatzalah developed. I mean, Nissan, you remember throughout the years, tell us about when the idea of the motorcycle, for example. Everybody knows United Hatzalah for the Ambucycles. We have over 1,000 of them today. But how did the idea even start out? I mean, Nissan, you remember back in the day how this started?
So it started because a lot of frustration of standing in traffic and doing those sirens and making all that noise and being stuck in traffic, waiting to get to a serious call and seeing all these motorcycles of pizza delivering just passing us. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should just order pizza with it and get there faster.
It'll get faster than the ambulance. Exactly. And so we said invention.
Okay,
So it was Elad who thought of the idea.
Instead of delivering pizza, let's deliver EpiPen and defibrillators with trained personnel and get there faster. And that's how we could get much faster than the traffic to the patient.
Yeah, especially, looking at traffic. And I think this is something that all of our listeners can connect to, because probably most of you are sitting in traffic now while listening to this podcast. So yeah, traffic is horrendous. And when someone's suffering a heart attack, Elad, Nissan, you're the more professional paramedics than I am. How long can a person survive without that defibrillator or that child who's choking?
Without defibrillator, at cardiac arrest, 4 to 6 minutes, and he's gone.
Survival rates?
10%, even less. But don't go far. You could even go to aspirin. Just give someone with a heart attack so he won't die maybe if he gets that medicine a couple minutes later or 10 or 20 minutes later, but his heart is going to be so broken and he's going to be so sick for the rest of his life. And those couple minutes could really save his quality of life in a very big manner.
And if we are taking it to the EpiPen, is the anaphylactic shock. So we understand that every second counts.
Yeah, every second counts. Think about it, a kid going into an anaphylactic shock, allergies, whatever. And I think, Udi, we'll get to your solution, but I know you're sitting there and smiling and saying, wow, we're just the next step. I can't wait to already. So
you're doing my pitch, actually.
Yeah, of course. That's my job. On this series of podcasts of innovation, I'm loving it because all of our partners of different aspects of technology, from training to debriefing to simulations of medical treatments and protocols and CAD systems and you name it. It's just seeing how this I don't know if to say that the ecosystem of technology serves life-saving in this aspect, and I'll hand it over to you so you can introduce a little bit. First of all, tell us about yourself and the cool idea. We've been now for 2 or 3 years.
Okay, a little bit, even a little bit more. Yes.
It was right before Rosh Hashanah, right before when we signed the original MOU, because we always try to be on the forefront of technology and innovation and introduce whatever tool that comes out to the market in life-saving. And when you guys popped up on the radar, it was I think a natural connection. So take it away, Udi.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for the work that you are doing. All the organization, it's amazing work that you are doing. The connection was pretty much, yes, I think natural, but I'll start from what we are doing. So City Transformer, what City Transformer is all about, is about changing the life for the better inside cities, making cities, urban mobility inside cities, the way that people move, packages move, first aid responders move inside cities, much more efficient, sustainable. You save time, you save money. So if you take, let's say, satellite picture 10 years from now, let's imagine London. Great satellite picture, all utopian dream. All the cars are either electric or fuel cells.
Or at a standstill in traffic.
Exactly. So the air is clean, but at the same time, same peace of mind. Everybody is crazy, more congestion. Exactly, you said it right. So nothing changes. If you don't deal with the size, you don't do too much. And the fact is that actually 85% of the time you drive by yourself in a car. And if you take this and you take the fact that 85% of the trips in the US are being conducted within a 15 miles radius, so you really need something small in order to change things and in order to make the cities better, narrowing.
So we have motorcycles for that.
Exactly.
We have over 1,000 of them serving in life-saving.
And exactly, that's a great thing because you came to us with this exact problem. It's a great solution, but your personnel are going through accident when they try to assist others. And that's the pain point. If you try to assist others and you get hurt, of course, you cannot assist others, and then you also get injured for trying to assist. So we come to combine these two worlds and create a vehicle, such a small vehicle, as narrow as a footprint of a legal motorcycle. Now, nobody did it because of stability issues. Toyota.
Wait. Say again, for those listeners of ours that aren't seeing the video, try to explain what you're describing. Because when I was talking about Optimus Prime and Transformers,
it sounds crazy, and you need to.
But wait, try to visualize this, because this really, I mean, and I'll say personally, and we'll talk about that soon. I drove one of these in Paris about a year ago. Phenomenal experience. Try to describe this, and I'm not the COO, and I didn't invent this. So you have the best wording for those who have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, so just take, for example, Tesla. I'll give you a few examples. When you talk about resources to manufacture a vehicle, so Tesla, our vehicle, plus a battery, plus a passenger, weighs less than a Tesla battery. So in terms of resources, Earth resources, you just take care more of Earth, you may say. But then take care of city traffic, or city friendly, as we call it. If you have a vehicle which is as narrow as a motorcycle, you have less accident. The accidents are less severe with the pedestrians and with others that are walking inside the city. The city is more friendly, user-friendly, or city-friendly, if you may call it. And eventually, if you take or think about a vehicle which is as small, so a mid-sized or average family vehicle, we can squeeze 4 of our vehicle in a single parking place.
Wow.
So it's that small. It is small, but then you have challenges. In order to do such a thing, you have stability issues. Nobody can do narrowing.
It's like a matchbox.
Exactly. And then Toyota tried to do a stuff with tilting. It doesn't work very well. They are ditching the project. And actually they told us, listen, that's the magic number. Go for 1 meter, motorcycle footprint. And that's exactly also when we talked, we developed a unique mechanism that's actually a transformer. The vehicle changes the dimension. When you need it, it's as narrow as a motorcycle. Drive it up to 40 kilometers per hour inside cities. Go saving lives, sneaking through traffic. When you need it, you widen the vehicle. You get extra safety and stability. And then you drive faster.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it goes up to 80 or 90 kilometers
90 kilometers per hour. Yes.
And I just got to say, from a personal experience, you're sitting in a car. It feels like a car. It's you've got the doors on both sides, but it feels like a car, and you're going between the cars in traffic, going up to the light between the cars, just like we do on the motorcycles. And then when you pass the light and the road is clear, it just wheels open up to the sides. And boom, you had an electrical vehicle speeding up like nothing. Back into traffic, close the wheels, and you're between the cars again.
So exactly, and it was important for us to be, as we are a startup, Israeli startup, maybe the only car manufacturer in Israel since the Susita, you may call it.
Which used to get eaten up by camels.
Yeah, exactly.
Those fiberglass cars.
So we learned from this not to do fiberglass. And this time leading a segment with being innovative, being small, being electric, being quiet, and having also an embedding your system inside so it can assist even more.
So, Elad, when you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, we were talking about how to modify these vehicles. And we were thinking, whereas today the volunteers that have a motorcycle, it's their personal vehicle. And we were thinking, first of all, personal safety, because we do deal with accidents. You're right. And that was one of the pain points that we were talking about in our initial meetings, because accidents happen. The driver could be the best driver in the world, but an oncoming car going through a red light or whatever. And unfortunately, we've lost some volunteers over the years. And the personal safety, we invest endlessly in training and whatnot, but at the end, a two-wheeler is a two-wheeler. And so, but besides the safety aspect, one of the interesting ideas that we had, because we find that when you go into the big metropolises, what do we find more and more is the
car share.
Car sharing. So Udi, talk about the aspect that we were talking about of how we can take the concept of car sharing, especially because a volunteer that works on the 15th floor of a high-tech building in the center of Tel Aviv, his car is parked 3 blocks away, or he came on the train, he doesn't have his equipment with him, but he wants to respond to a call that might be 3 or 4 buildings away. So leveraging the technology, which is not only the car shifting its shape, size, width, but the technology that's put into it that can actually be connected to our Uber, our life-saving Uber system of locating the nearest by incident. Talk a little bit about that, because this is what you do and you can maybe elaborate a little bit what you've been doing in the big cities as far as this car sharing.
So the whole idea is for us to, in order to really create an impact, you need to be also sustainable, but you need also to be shareable. Because if you're shareable, you utilize the vehicle 5, 6, 7 times more than a regular vehicle. So you get rid of regular vehicles on road. So this is what we are doing. We develop or co-developed with Bosch a unique system for sharing with personalization inside the vehicle, so the vehicle can recognize it's you and the settings accordingly. But it's also a perfect match for United Hatzalah. And the main reason for it is because, and after discussion and brainstorming together, you can really have some kind of you may call it mobile station inside, allocated inside cities. It doesn't take any place almost any place because it's like a motorcycle. They are parked inside the city. But when you have an accident, when you have an event, anyone can, any volunteer from United Hatzalah can open their smartphone, look for the nearest city transformer, just run to it, open it with their smartphone. The settings are already embedded and they can drive fast.
Like the scooters. You open the map and see where is the
But not
nearest
only
scooter.
that, it knows my mirror settings and my seat and the AC that I want inside. That's cool, you know.
I think that one important thing that you didn't mention is that you're staying dry inside.
Oh,
when it's rainy outside
and warm.
and warm.
and it has air conditioning. Yeah, that's definitely a perk. And if, what sort of licensing do you need for something? Is that like a car license, a motorcycle license?
So it's a regular car license. The reason for it, because we wanted to be more of a responsible sharing, which is super important for European markets where we are targeting. So it can drive faster to 90 kilometers per hour. In case you don't need a license, it's limited in 45 kilometers per hour. So it's another category. Less relevant, I think, for you as well. You need to drive from time to time fast to get to an event. For us, it was important to get to 90, but the three main, I think, aspects that City Transformer has that are perfect for you, one of them is the flexibility. As mentioned, it's narrow and it can drive more or less or the closest to a motorcycle, but also when talking to people that were researching events or terror events or multi-casualty events, we understand that either in concert rock or sports event or either in a multi-casualty event, you need something narrow in order to get and put the medical device inside and maybe the personnel and take out others. So that's one thing. The second thing is safety. So safety is, of course, with weather protection, but eventually bringing the people that can assist safest to their place. And we are the safest in our category.
What's the level of protection? Is it really like a real car? Or is it?
It's the closest that you can to a real car with a small dimension and a small weight. Or the low weight. It's also important to say that safety weighs. And you cannot put too much of a safety measure if you are bound, and our category is bound to 450 kilograms. So it's more like almost like a jet or like a Formula 1 car. Everything is by the millimeter.
With seatbelt,
airbag, ABS,
also.
ESC, yes. We are developing unique monocoque because most of these small cars are usually plastics made in tubular chassis. We're made of monocoque and stamping like a regular car. So we took it to the maximum that we can in this category.
Wow. We could go on for hours, but I'll just say one thing is from the personal experience that I encountered, after a year or two of talking in the prototypes, I can so clearly see the vision of where technology is developing, where we're going with car sharing, people going to work, and yet not losing that value and being able to leverage that power to save lives. We'll be seeing these orange transformers. Orange transformers.
Optimus
Prime. Optimus Prime is red, but we'll have to do these orange because we're orange. There's nothing to do about that. But I think the concept of not only car sharing for just for being green and environmental, but car sharing for saving lives is tremendous. Safety of our volunteers is tremendous. And Udi, I just want to thank you because I know you got to run. I want to thank you for coming here to the podcast, sharing, because I promise you, every one of our listeners is immediately going to go into Google and check out City Transformer, because this is the future of emergency response. So thanks so much, Udi, for being a partner on the way and taking part in this mission of saving lives. lives.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take the opportunity also to thank you because it's a natural opportunity to collaborate. I think that you save life. We try to do the best to improve lives inside cities. And I think that this match already opened to us different doors that other life-saving organizations are looking at what United Hatzalah is doing and start thinking differently.
Well, when you connect to people who do good, it'll only come back in good for you guys. So wishing you a lot of luck and waiting to see these city transformers all over the world.
Thank you very
for
much.
joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next guest, which I've been waiting so long to have on our podcast already, is Dr. Adam Ballin. Dr. Ballin, years of volunteering in this organization, one of the pillars. And the reason we brought you on this episode is, first of all, you were too busy to come on any of the other ones. But that said, being part not only of responding as a volunteer, and you'll tell us all about that, but, the innovation, thinking of solutions. We keep saying that necessity is the mother of invention. And since we're in an episode talking about vehicles, so, I'll just hand it over to you. And thank you for coming on the show. And tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your volunteering in Hatzalah and how this brought you and us to what we know today as the ALS Jeep, which is, I think, and I've seen some stuff, is really one of the most unique emergency response vehicles that exist, period.
Thanks, Dovie. I really appreciate it. It's a big honor for me to be on the show. My medical career started as a young EMT, sitting in the back of your ambulance 20 years ago, approximately. So, Baruch Hashem.
You have to give that away. There's a joke that says that I hate seeing old people and then realizing that I went to school with them. So
it's a big honor for me to be here. So, I started my medical career started as a young EMT right here in Israel, volunteering on the side. And ever since then, they say once you're hooked, you're hooked. And it's never left me. And being obviously since then through medical school and specialty training, and now also by day do some family medicine, do the health funds here in Israel. I did my specialty in Hadassah. And it's... looking back on the organization, I think that we all know, and as the listeners will be aware, that United Hatzalah is built, the DNA of the organization is disruptive innovation. From the very first Ambucycle until today, through all the different iterations, all the different gear, all the different projects, the organization is all about innovation. And something that listeners may not know is that in addition to having 7,000 volunteers, of those volunteers, we have over 550 ALS responders, that's paramedics and doctors, and we have approximately, the numbers change, people come, people retire, people go on fellowships, we have approximately 200 physicians in the team, which I think is probably one of the largest physician bodies in an EMS organization anywhere in the world. Volunteers. Giving of their time. And as we all know, we're all very busy today, and physicians are no exception. And somehow people find time in the busy schedules to donate. And what's also unique about United Hatzalah is we have physicians not only from the traditional core specialties related to pre-hospital, which is intensive care, anesthetics, emergency medicine, but we also have family medicine, pediatrics, OBGYN, even psychiatry. So we've got across the country just at least probably one specialist from every field. So one of the big questions was, how do we, obviously people doing this on a volunteer basis, they're very busy. And one of the big questions that was troubling us is we've got the Ambucycles, we can get the EMTs places fast, but how do we bring the advanced life support capability? How do we have super advanced responders in the form of physicians, critical care physicians? How do we bring that force to bear in an effective manner that's going to help us save lives to the next level and bring that force to bear? And that's where Nissan came in. We obviously, the idea of an ALS fly car or supervisor vehicles, physician response is not a new idea in the world, but we have unique challenges and we have unique capabilities. So how do we bring that to bear in our disruptive, innovative fashion? And that was where Nissan came in. From our first little trials of just taking a monitor an ALS bag and dumping it in the back of a company car and taking some calls, that was never going to be enough for Nissan. So from there, the idea...
All you got to do is challenge Nissan.
You just got to give them a challenge and a budget, and the problem is solved. Beyond your wildest expectations.
Without budget.
Also without budget. So first proof of concept, then budget. So Nissan ran the idea because we're looking and it's proved. What's amazing is it's proved itself. We're looking at the way. How do we? Let's say we have. And these are real cases. For example, a couple of weeks ago, there was a case right here in Jerusalem. There's a lady who's having a breech birth at home, unplanned, and the birth is obstructed. There's a paramedic ambulance on scene, and they're frantically trying to deliver this baby. It's not going. The only person who can say, and we're talking about a third floor apartment, there's no stairs. How are you going to save this baby's life and also the mother's life? And so what's the solution? Solution is we always say in EMS, transport is king. There's almost no condition where you can argue that even with the best ALS responder, you're going to make it's better than a rapid transport. But this is a case where you're stuck on a third floor. There's no elevator, and you have body out, head not, and the only person who can save this life is an OBGYN, a gynecologist. And what happened is through the innovation that the organization was able to bring to bear, through ALS vehicles, physician responders, a OBGYN came to the scene, delivered the baby successfully, and you had a good outcome for mother and baby.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
With an ultrasound.
Supported by ultrasound, monitoring, and
Who's this, Dr. Ari Jaffe?
We had one case with Ari Jaffe and a very similar case also with another OBGYN. So this is, I think it's in a way unique. There's been the flying squad that there's been iterations of these things, but to bring it to bear in an organized manner across specialties, I think is something that's unique in the world. There's a lot of talk now in medicine about personalized medicine, where we take not only the biopsychosocial model of medicine and the person and the world he lives in, but also his individual statistics, his genome, and we pile it all together. And with the aim of the future is to deliver medical treatment on an individualized basis, completely individual for you. Whereas I might give someone else a blood pressure medicine A, I'm going to give you blood pressure medicine B because your whole situation is different, and also your genes are different. So I think, in a sense, something that's happening here at United Hatzalah is we're actually entering the era of personalized EMS, which I think is unique in the entire world. Wow. Another example of a case is that we had a search for a missing person. A physician was brought in. It was an older person with Alzheimer's. So what happens? So in addition to sending out EMTs and the Yechidot Chilutz, the search and rescue squads to look for the person, a geriatrician came to the scene, looked through the medical files that the family had, did an assessment of this person based on his level of Alzheimer's. He said he can walk X far in X number of time. This is what he's likely to run into trouble with. He needs this medicine by this hour. And the person was found within 4 hours in an urban environment.
So you give an idea of a search mission. I think that's where we actually see the use of these ALS Jeeps, the ALS fly cars that are able to bring full advanced life support capabilities out into the wilderness, literally. But let's go back 1 second and try to describe the process of how do you design such a thing? Because you know the supervisor vehicles that have all the equipment in the back, but this one doesn't only have the equipment. This one can actually do the extraction, the transport.
So I was presented with 2 challenges. First of all, to have the special equipment that the ALS needs, the doctor needs, being in the vehicle. And second of all, to have some kind of a platform that day to day is just regular Jeep, but you have the opportunity to fold down a couple chairs and stretch a stretcher there, and to have the capability to put in a patient and to take him out from the wilderness up to the closest ambulance wherever he could get. And the third challenge was this car is by our volunteers, by our doctors, that they use this car as a day-to-day, daily. So it can't just be a big blown-up Jeep with no room to sit, because it has to be something practical for the doctor to have with him. Otherwise, the response time is much more difficult. So we managed to do a car that has all the seats and has all the ALS equipment with extra
Do you
equipment
mean that
with
the
the
challenge
doctors.
was that we want to make his, moving around on the day-to-day with his family easy?
No, I want him to be able to move our equipment with him easy with the Jeep, that when we need him, he's there in a notice moment.
But you know what? I'll tell you that. I'll tell you the truth is, yes, we want him to be comfortable with his family, because you know why? Because if he can't go out with his family everywhere, he's not going to take the Jeep.
And then
that was your
don't have the
mission.
equipment. Yeah.
So we managed to take a Jeep, just a normal like a SUV a Jeep, and it has all the ALS equipment with capability to put a patient on a real stretcher that was made to take patients on ambulances, a special folding aviation stretcher, and they could use this vehicle in like day to day. A couple of days ago, there was some construction guy that slipped down in a very low construction zone underground, and the only place or vehicle that could go in, it has to be a 4x4 vehicle because it's dirt down there, but the only entrance is through a underground parking, and the ambulance can't even go through there. So the ambulance waited outside, and the Jeep went down, off-roading into underground of Jerusalem, stretching this
Underground construction site.
and stretching this patient up into the stretcher and bringing him to the ambulance, all ready to go to transport to the hospital.
Amazing.
And when Nissan says all the equipment, we're not just talking about an ALS bag and a monitor. We're talking about state-of-the-art equipment. We have point-of-care ultrasound POCUS. We have video laryngoscopy. We have Sparrow ventilators. So really, even more than a standard ALS vehicle, you have the capability to do hospital on wheels and even bring the hospital to the patient. And we often talk about in Israel, the gods, Makdim Refuah L'Makkah, he brings the remedy before the illness. And unfortunately, the podcast I know has covered a lot of stuff about October 7th, but I think the trial by fire of these vehicles was really on October 7th. These vehicles were inaugurated 6 to 12 months before. We were getting really into the zone of using them. But then on 7th of October, we just saw it go to the next level because we were able to project medical force, as it were, into the field on a level that I don't think we ever projected before. Maybe on an international mission with aircraft, a proper big setup, long lead times. We're talking about that by 4 hours in, first few hours, there was decisions north, south. Where are we going? Are we going north? Are we going south? Are we staying put? By 4 hours in, there were ALS providers in the field with full equipment providing care. By 6 hours in, you have a field hospital set up with helicopters landing. And these vehicles
going in and out, putting the patients on the stretchers and bringing them out of harm's way. I mean, we had Dr. Gensler here on the October 7th episodes telling us what he had actually done there and down south.
I was honored to work with him down there. And I have to say, like, these vehicles, something I talk about a lot in TACMed is the idea of therapeutic vacuum, is that when you have the transition zones from hot zone to warm zone to cold zone, you can develop a therapeutic vacuum, or you have these scenarios where you just, we all want to transport the patient, but you just can't. You're under fire, you're stuck. It's a disaster situation. And these vehicles have allowed us to put that hospital level care into the therapeutic vacuum and fill it. Again, I think in a way that's yet to be done in probably anywhere. So it's really a groundbreaking and cutting edge piece of equipment. And again, it's just an honor for us to ride on these vehicles. And the story is just about, there was another case recently with one of our responders who's also a qualified police surgeon. And there was an incident in Pisgat Zev, Jerusalem, where there was a call for welfare. What many of us people in EMS, you roll your eyes, think, oh, it's probably going to be nothing. They go knock on the door, no answer. The fire brigade breaks in. The person inside was in fact inside. It was emotionally disturbed, and he shot at the police and firefighters who came in. Policewoman was injured in the head.
Injured, yeah.
And she could not be accessed. One of our doctors who also works as a police surgeon they weren't able to evacuate her, but he was able to access into her, and they were able to provide treatment for 20 minutes in the hot zone until the SWAT team was able to neutralize the threat. So and without the right vehicles and the right equipment, these are what they call in Hebrew mikre kitzon. These are those extreme cases that only can be saved, with very extended care, practitioners, talking about physicians or advanced practitioners, and specialized equipment that is not generally available in EMS.
So talking about that, Nissan, I'll just, I'll relay over a little bit to some other of the dreams that we made come true here based off of needs, especially some of them that we've already been using for years, like the mass casualty response vehicle and the mobile command center and the multi-purpose command vehicle. Tell us a little bit about the different challenges and solutions that we are able to bring today to the field whether it's in a mass casualty incident, whether it's in a prolonged incident that is ongoing, active shooter, or whatever other situation.
So let's start with the command vehicle. So one of our challenges was when we need a command vehicle, usually is far away, out someplace. Let's say we have a big event in the desert or something, and we need access to have our command center far off road. So we have a off road command, full blown command center, but off road capabilities that could go wherever you want, like earth rooming the whole place, and we could have our command center wherever we want, being there. In addition to that, we have our command.
Wait, in the command center, in the mobile command center, you have basically a place for two dispatchers. With it's like taking the dispatch center out
to the middle of the desert,
literally, with all of the capabilities, satellite communications, and everything.
And then we have the command vehicle. The command vehicle is a we'd call it a all by one vehicle,
a multi-purpose
vehicle. Also for sure off road. Yeah, that's where you need more capabilities. But it has aspects for search and rescue. It has light searching for search and rescue. It has the medical equipment. It has communication equipment. It has mobile satellite equipment, and it has recovery gear. So it's basically
it's got the drone. It has the drones there,
right? So basically, a vehicle that whatever situation you have that vehicle. You could start the command, and start providing and treating whatever you have to provide.
It really is like trying to find whatever challenge we have. We'll find the solution. We just inaugurated our mobile clinic, which we made after we started using these pop-up field hospital tents. That can bring literally capabilities of almost full ER to the field for situations. We prepared it because of the war situation that was here, and we said we might need areas that won't be able to evacuate to a hospital, so to treat the patients there and maintain them until the evacuation will be possible.
Yeah, so that's also part of the needs that we said in October 7th. If we would have now some kind of place that we could treat these patients not just outside in a nice environment, quiet environment. That's stuff that you can't get in a tent. So that's that you had the idea. Let's do a trailer that is soundproof and air conditioned. And it's basically a ER. It has you could treat there like 4 patients at once, and you have all the capabilities
for lying patients.
Four lying beds.
You can
and you have a triage
isolated
zone
from each other,
and air conditioned and lit and solar powered and self-sufficient, self-sustainable. Also has communication, so we could just park it and use it right away without addition and without
off-grid, totally off-grid,
and ready to go. Just take down the stabilizer legs and open the clinic, and you're going.
The reason we did that was I said, Nissan, your challenge is simply we were faced with a threat here of a blackout, a national blackout, and we were thinking how us as an organization can bring these solutions to the field. So it took time, but eventually one of these units can be a frontline triage center with advanced life support capabilities like in that G, but for multiple patients, and continue operations, whether on the grid, off the grid, generators, solar power, you name it. And thinking about all the small details from communications to satellite to really, and even patient, what's the word for it? Privacy.
Yes. Each one has his own zone. Each
privacy,
patient,
220 volt USB cable that you can charge.
You can charge the cell phones when you don't have a grid.
Full hospital. Each patient has his own window, has his own zone, and it's if you're patient and you have to be treated, that's a good place to be treated.
Listen, what are the sizes? I think that the audience should understand what are you talking about when you're talking about the sizes of this kind of trailer.
Okay, so this trailer was built at the maximum size legal in Israel for a trailer. If I could do it bigger, it would be bigger.
Just because you have to have the biggest one.
Just because I need the room and I want to make it perfect. So it's 9 meters long. I think it's 28 feet, whatever. It's 9 meters long and 2.5 meters wide. and 2.5 meters tall. So it's a big thing, and
Sticks out.
Very big.
it sticks out, and it's very practical.
Yep. And it's been put to work already.
And all the
Actually,
marathons.
during exercise, we're using it in marathons now and standby.
Every week, it's every week in
medical
marathons.
standby on medical standby for these events, marathons, the races, and whatnot. But we look, by the way, as when we do these marathons and standby incidents, as the best training. For the disaster if something should ever happen.
We still need to talk about the MCRV because this is one of the amazing things that Nissan made after October 7th. We had one old MCRV, but afterwards...
Wait. MCRV, Mass Casualty Response Vehicle. It is a unique van truck that is fully stocked, and you'll go into the details, but just as for our listeners that aren't from the field and don't know the lingo.
It's like a storage,
with,
storage with wheels.
It's more than storage. Nisa, why don't you tell us what the MCRV, the Mass Casualty Response Vehicle, can actually do?
So the idea was, and that's also part of the what we learned from October 7th, is if you have one vehicle that you just pack it up with equipment, so it's just like it's just like a warehouse, a little
delivery truck
that brings the kits, and then you take out the kits, and that's what you have. So we decided that first of all we want to upgrade the equipment that we had then. And based on October 7th, so it's more disposable stretchers and whatever we didn't have at that time, and to bring with it together all kind of all the other needs we need, like pop-up tents and chairs and
generators,
riding, logistic stuff. We even have inside a pop-up a command center that you could open, have a computer, have your internet, have your communication. Want to make a Zoom with headquarters. Right from in the vehicle. Also, it has backboards to take the patients and stretchers. We added also because we are special because we have doctors. So I added a whole kit that it's called a surgery field kit. So it has if you have to do surgery in the field, we have all kits ready for us in the MCRs to give the doctors, because we have the physicians to do those procedures. So everything is there already made for them to have.
So literally, it's like a command vehicle with the emergency equipment
and the logistics
radio
aboard.
communications,
A lot of emergency equipment.
And actually, we saw on October 7th, we saw the use of these vehicles in the field when we, Dr. Ballin, I think you yourself were in one of these sites that was like a massive field hospital triage site of those hundreds of victims that were coming out.
To give our listeners an idea of how effective these vehicles were, for example, the combination of an ALS response Jeep along with, let's say, the mass casualty vehicle, we were there 6-7 hours in, full field hospital is set up. By the next morning, there'd been already helicopter evacuations, overnight triage, switching from acute to subacute problems. And then the next morning, Dovie gave the order, we're moving from Cheletz to stay off. And at the 24 to 26 hour mark, the field was empty. You wouldn't have known anyone was there. And a new field hospital was built 13 kilometers away within 3-4 hours. So it's the proof of concept is out there. We obviously wish under better circumstances, but I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of the kind of disruptive innovation we can do, and I hope we keep at it.
Wow!
So we didn't say it before, but this vehicle is made easily to treat 50 patients that are wounded lightly and 10 seriously wounded patients at once. That's the equipment that we count
besides
up
all the different
besides all the different little dressing bags. We have a lot of dressing bags, and so that's you could treat 50 people and another 10.
Unbelievable the stuff. I mean, I don't think there's like a glass ceiling, or what's the word for it in English.
Limits to our dreams.
We have no limits, basically.
The sky's the limit.
Well, not
we could get there.
Not even.
We've got the helicopters, we just keep going. I think that really brings us to the wrap, but and understanding that innovation, the word innovation isn't necessarily only a technology or a gadget or one of these things. It's really about thinking about solutions differently and not getting stuck in bureaucracy and not taking the no for the answer. Is we will find the solution and it will be amazing. and it will save lives. And I think that really represents what United Hatzalah is. And Dr. Ballin, you said it best, is that United Hatzalah is innovation. How did you say it at the beginning of
I heard you say it once. I took it from you, but
you see, I'm getting old.
The innovate, disruptive innovation.
Second time this episode, you're making me old.
And he was a volunteer.
I reflect my age. Disruptive innovation is in the DNA of the organization. Always has been, and I hope always will be.
It will
That's a credit to you, Dovie and Ellie Beer, who are always supporting us to innovate first and ask questions later.
Unbelievable. Dr. Ballin, what an honor to have you on the show finally. I hope to see you again in the future in many other spaces that we'll be dealing with here. Nissan, thank you for innovating. Thank you for thinking of the solutions. Thank you for bugging me and driving me nuts all the time about the budget and everything, because he always...
Only the best.
Only the best. Yeah. Well,
only the best for our patients.
I won't take no for an answer.
Exactly. So that brings us to the end of another episode of Masters of Emergency. I want to thank you, Dr. Ballin, again, and Nissan for joining the show, for doing everything that you've been doing for years as your career, as a personality, as a person, and as a volunteer of the organization. Elad, of course, my partner forever. We're coming to a wrap. You enjoyed our series, our show of innovation, motor vehicles, thinking out of the box. Subscribe, share, and join us for next episodes of Masters of Emergency. Appreciate your listening, enjoying every one of our volunteers, members, colleagues, partners on the way here on this innovative mission. And we hope to continue innovating and saving more and more lives in Israel and everywhere else. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.